What's good, everyone? OJ here. Welcome back to another video. Today we've got some awesome information for you guys, but before we get into that, please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, and click that notification bell to get my Nintendo Switch and RPG news videos first. Now let's go ahead and jump right into the first topic, and that is Xenoblade Chronicles 3. It's been a while since my last update on this game, and I haven't really talked about it too much when it comes to videos because there hasn't been much to say, but we do have an update with the sales of the game. Now, we talked about the July MPD. It did pretty well despite not having many days to chart on the July MPD, but now we have the August sales. So the MPD are the US sales, and for Nintendo games particularly, they only count the physical sales and not the digital sales because Nintendo does not give the MPD digital eShop sales numbers, while most of the other publishers do actually get those sales numbers from Microsoft and Sony and with Steam, PC, and all of that. So this makes what we're going to talk about when it comes to Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and ultimately Nintendo games just in general, but definitely with Xenoblade Chronicles 3 even more impressive because Xenoblade Chronicles 3 was the 10th best-selling game for the month of August 2022. We've got the top 20, and it's very impressive, at least to me, to see that Xenoblade Chronicles dropped from the 4th spot from July to number 10 in the top 10. Usually games like this drop out of like the top 20 within like a month. Like even if it came out at the end of the month, usually you don't see it, things kind of fade out, but that's not the case with Xenoblade Chronicles 3. It had a very good hold, and even better with the August 2022 Nintendo Switch charts, it was number 2 on there. So number 10 without digital, beating out many other games, and then number 2 on the Nintendo Switch platforms or Nintendo platforms chart. So very good to see that, and just very good to see the variety that's on the Nintendo platform charts as well. I mean, it was pretty cool to see Mario Kart 8, Xenoblade Chronicles, Super Smash Bros., Kirby and the Forgotten Land, Pokemon Legends Arceus, Animal Crossing New Horizons, Nintendo Switch Sports, Digimon Survive, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and Minecraft. A lot of different and varied games. And I do want to add in that the Nintendo Switch actually was dethroned as the top selling system for the month. The PlayStation 5 led in dollar sales and also unit sales. So this is definitely good because we're starting to see more stock of Xbox Series and also PlayStation 5 as well, and steady stock of the Nintendo Switch. So this is exactly what you want overall for the gaming industry. So awesome stuff there, but I'm just over the moon about Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and seeing how well it's doing. It looks like even if it's not on the top 20 for the next month's MPD sales, it'll still be in the top 10 for the Nintendo Switch charts. I don't see it dropping really too far below the number 2 spot. It was number 1 the previous month, but now it's number 2. So very good to see that. Number 4 the previous month in overall between all platforms, now number 10. So still in there. Very good to see that. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is selling faster than any previous Xenoblade Chronicles game to date. So this should definitely be the best-selling Monolith Soft game and the best-selling Xenoblade game of all time when it's all said and done, beating out the 2.4+ million that Xenoblade Chronicles 2 does have. So I definitely see Xenoblade Chronicles 3 beating that out. We'll see if Nintendo says anything. They haven't really commented too much on the sales of various different games, but they haven't said anything, but maybe we get an update, especially because we are running out of time in September, and Nintendo still has not notified people about when they're going to be shipping those Xenoblade Chronicles 3 special edition contents that don't come with the game because they already shipped out the game, but comes like with the art book and the steel case and also the nice box and everything. So hopefully we get that soon because I have one and I haven't gotten mine yet. So maybe they ship that out before the end of September because that's when they said they were going to. So what do you guys think about Xenoblade Chronicles 3 holding strong as a JRPG, holding strong in the top 10 for the MPD and number 2 for the Nintendo Switch charts? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, and moving on to the next topic here, it looks like ATLUS has clarified something that's going to make people very upset when it comes to the next big game or the next big Persona game. Persona 6 are what people are presuming. Now, ATLUS has officially clarified that there will be no new game announcements at the Persona Super Live P Sound Wish 2022 concert next month. Now, why this is significant is because throughout the history of these P Live concerts, we usually get new announcements. We usually get something. They talk about it, they tease it, something happens. But in order to kind of quell a lot of the Persona fans hype out there, the Mega 10 hype out there, the ATLUS hype out there, they have stated, nope, it's not happening. And this is, I think, after they've sold a bunch of tickets and all of that. So, I mean, I'm not sure if it was, you know, if they did that purposefully or anything, or if they saw that there was a lot of people that were making videos and saying, hey, there's going to be something announced because we got something before in previous years. But here's what I want to say with this. Persona 6, whatever form it's in, whatever form it's taking, whatever's going on with this game, it's going to take some time. And I know Persona 5 came out a long time ago. It's been, I think, 6 years since the original Japanese release of Persona 5. I get that, you know, and it's one of those things that when you look at Persona and how the games are developed, especially the big mainline Persona games, it's always not great. There's always craziness and delays because these games are so stylistic. They are so in-depth. They are so stylized and they are so finely crafted. There's barely anybody in the industry that can make a game like Persona. It's almost impossible when you put everything together. That's why you don't see a lot of people trying to copy Persona in a lot of ways, because the style, what they do, it's so unique and instinctive and it takes years to craft. Now, I don't doubt that Persona 6 is definitely in production, but it's not going to be something that they're going to announce at a concert. And they're definitely, probably going to look into where they're going to put this game on. I think it's being developed clearly PC, right? You're developing it on PC. I think they're looking and taking a very hard look at what they're going to do, what type of money they can get for investments, if there's going to be exclusivity, if there's going to be this and that. I think there's a lot of stuff. Heck, I think that they're even probably looking into what Nintendo's doing for the next generation. So they are not in a rush to announce it at a concert. So I think that before they've had announcements, and I get that because it worked within the development cycle of what they are doing, but I think now at this point, you've announced Persona 3, Persona 4, and Persona 5 coming out on all platforms, PS5, Xbox Series, Nintendo Switch. You've got that out there for fans. The other games are coming later down the line. That's cool. Rock with that. Those announcements are already out there. Hype for Persona fans. And now you play the waiting game. You develop, you work hard because it's going to take a lot of hard work to get Persona 6 out there. And I don't know how far they're in. I'm simply just guessing when it comes down to it. But regardless, what we do know is that it's going to take a lot of work to get this done. So let them work on it. When they are ready to show it off, when it's in a state to where they feel comfortable and everything lines up, whether that's going to be a direct or that's going to be a state of play, that's going to be an Xbox show, or it's going to be their own thing that they're going to do. Maybe they have their own line of direct style information that they're working on or they're planning on, like a Persona direct or something like that. They're going to get it done when it's ready and when they're going to do it. I don't think that anybody needs to sit here and try to rush and try to force for announcements and stuff when it's not. Especially the reaction after the leak of GTA 6 and people going ham, going crazy about how crappy the game is when it's literally unfinished. You know, so to me, wait, when it's ready to be shown, they'll show it off. And I'm not really too upset about this whole P Live not getting any type of game announcements. They gave us what we wanted. Fans for years have been crying for Persona 3, Persona 4, and Persona 5 on all platforms. Break free Persona Act, myself included. So we got that. So it's now time to enjoy that and let those other games come out. And when they're ready, they will let us know. So what do you guys think about this here with ATLUS and the whole P Live concert not having a game announcement? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, and moving on to the next topic here, guys. There was an interview recently, and shout outs to JCat. She pointed this out on Twitter, but I was also reading this as well. And this was with the Armed Fantasia Kickstarter. And this is a really cool game because this game is a spiritual successor to the Wild Arms franchise, which was big on PlayStation back in the day. However, it seems that the developers wanted to kind of continue that relationship with Sony and PlayStation for Armed Fantasia, and Sony didn't seem really interested at all in the game. Now, in this recent interview, we're going to go over what he had to say, and then I'll give my reasoning why I think Sony is operating this way based on the global market and the landscape right now. Now, in a video announcing the double Kickstarter with you and Machida-san, you all suggest that JRPGs are not as popular as they once were. What do you think that is? Kaneko had this to say. Of course, they are still very popular, RPGs like Persona 5, but with Persona 5, that's the 5th installment. It's part of a series that already has a first game. It's not alright when it comes to making a new JRPG. Japanese publishers just won't take the risk. In my case, I went to Sony over and over again, but nothing came of it. It's not so much that JRPGs aren't popular, it's that publishers won't let us make them. So this is a very, very interesting statement on multiple different levels, because I don't think it's just dealing with Sony. I think it's dealing with just the industry as a whole. Now, we all know that Nintendo, out of Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo's the one that still makes big AAA RPGs, right? Sony will help, they'll fund stuff like Final Fantasy 16 for exclusivity, they'll look into other things here and there, but that has to be the biggest franchise blockbuster type of RPGs. Nintendo will bring up their RPGs, right? They've dropped the number of them that they've had that were smaller, stuff like Golden Sun. We haven't seen that in a long time, but the ones that do well, like Xenoblade Chronicles, like Fire Emblem, obviously Pokemon, doing incredibly well, they're going to keep rocking with those. But I think that what he said here is a very important quote at the end. It's not so much that JRPGs aren't popular, it's that publishers won't let us make them. And it's not just Sony. There's lots of publishers out there that are shying away from the JRPG market. But at the same time, they're realizing that, wait a minute, there is still more opportunities for that. And I think that with Wild Arms, with what he's saying here, it completely makes sense. It completely makes sense because it's not like Wild Arms was this crazy, super successful franchise. And if you're starting something brand new, Armed Fantasia, which is a spiritual successor, you're going to have an even harder time getting that published. So I understand why they went the Kickstarter route, and I see what he's saying with Japanese publishers. We get a lot of sequels, we get a lot of reoccurring type of games, Xenoblade 3, right, Persona 5, Final Fantasy 16, Star Ocean's coming up, but that's a series as well. You don't see as many brand new major JRPGs anymore. Heck, we got a new Fire Emblem game coming out, Octopath Traveler 2 is coming out, although that was a new IP. They took a risk there and it worked, but it wasn't a super big AAA type of risk, you know? So we see a lot of smaller stuff. We see a lot of smaller things that Square Enix is doing and everything. So I understand what he's saying. I think that it's interesting, but I feel that the JRPG resurgence has definitely happened because there's been a number of Japanese RPGs that have done extremely well recently, especially with stuff like Xenoblade Chronicles 3. We just talked about that here. I think that Persona 5 obviously is going to do extremely well on the Nintendo Switch and has already done well on PlayStation. Octopath Traveler sold over 3 million units. Bravely Default 2 sold over 1 million units. So there's still room for RPGs to sell in this market. So I'm glad that, hey, if you can't get a publisher to fund it, let us take care of it, you know, and that's what the fans did. The fans funded these games. I like to see that Wild Arms is getting a spiritual successor along with Shadow Hearts as well, with Penny Blood. So what do you guys think about this when it comes to the state of Japanese RPGs and what Mr. Kaneko had to say here? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, and moving on to the final topic. This is something that I'm going to be discussing quite a bit more in a separate video, but I wanted to get a quick shout out to Square Enix, man. I mean, this year has been nuts. On Twitter, I put out this post saying that Square Enix kind of went ham this year. I've been playing right now, and I'll have videos up for you guys for Valkyrie, Elysium, and also Star Ocean, The Divine Force. And what I'm seeing here between those two games, in addition to what they already released this year, Triangle Strategy, Live Alive, and also Crisis Core, Final Fantasy VII Reunion, these are fantastic games. It feels like Square Enix is getting back to the roots, the classic Square Enix that we all know and love. Now, are all these games going to be 90 plus games, or heck, even 85 plus games? Are they all super AAA and oh my gosh, everyone's thinking game of the year or RPG of the year? No, they're not. But that's not how Square Enix always was. Secret of Mana, the original, was phenomenal. Chrono Trigger was phenomenal. Secret of Evermore was great. They had RPGs that had different levels depending on what you like in games. Not every game from Square Enix back in the day was 100% Game of the Year, Final Fantasy VI level of quality, and that's okay. What they're doing is getting back to their roots and what they do best, which is make phenomenal to good RPGs out there and make different styles of games, different types of ways to play, whether that's turn-based, strategy, action RPG, remasters, re-releases, remakes, and then they come out with the big guns with stuff like Dragon Quest and also Final Fantasy 16, Final Fantasy 7 Remake Part 2. This is what Square Enix is good at, and I feel that they really made that up in their mind that they were going to go this route, I think probably last year or two, but I feel that the failure of the Avengers IP and how much hundreds of millions of dollars they've lost, and the upkeep of these Western studios just isn't their forte. It's not in their DNA. It's an outside source that was kind of plaguing them a little bit, and they needed to really get back to what they do well, and this is it. So what do you guys think about Square Enix this year and what they've done? I feel that they're having a great year so far, and I'm looking forward to playing more of their games this year, especially with Star Ocean: The Divine Force, which I played the demo. Once again, I'll have more impressions of that later. Valkyrie Elysium, once again, played the demo. I'll have more impressions of that later. And Crisis Core, which I'm really excited for this year in December. So what do you guys think about everything that we discussed here? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and we will see you for the next video. Peace.